Zach Peay, Demar Perkins. It's crunch time. It's crunch time here live at the studios of Austin Peay. Zach Peay joined by Reese Britt and Demar Perkins. Guys, it's great to be here. How was your weekend?
Man, it was a pretty good weekend. Just, chilled out. Obviously, it was Super Bowl, so that was all fun. Ate some good food, seafood on the Super Bowl. Had a little seafood boil,
Nice.
I never had that before and didn't really associate that with Super Bowl food. It was pretty good.
Okay. Reese?
Yeah, I mean, same with me. Just watched the game, hung out with friends. I actually went home for the weekend, so I got to spend a little time with the family, and it was good. Trying to rest up before the season comes up with golf. So, but Super Bowl game, we'll get into that a little bit later. Great game.
For sure, a great game to watch. And I'll go ahead and say my weekend was pretty good. I didn't have much of an issue. Obviously, I got the prediction right. So some of us did. Some of us did.
They covered the spread. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
they covered.
We'll get into that. I want to quickly just start diving in. College baseball starting tomorrow. According to BaseballAmerica.com, we have. I'm only going to give you the 5 teams that I pulled, and then I'll let you know about the top 10. Texas number 1, Vandy number 2, Mississippi State number 3, Notre Dame number 4, Virginia number 5. As of the 24th of January, 6 teams in the from the SEC in the top 10. That's Vandy, Mississippi State, Florida, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and LSU. Reese, you've got a lot more about this.
Yeah, no, just a couple more teams to note. You've got East Carolina coming in at 15. They're a really good baseball team. They've made 31 regionals, and that's kind of how you get to the next, the super regional, then to Omaha. So they've made 31, yet to make it to a super regional, but they're knocking on the door. Look for them to make a huge push this year. They've got some great talent there in East Carolina. Then another team, you've got UC Irvine. UC Irvine has not been historically a great baseball program. This year they rejuvenated the program, and they're coming in ranked 20th in the nation. Dallas Baptist University, historically very good, I will say. That last year they made it to a regional and a super regional, but they ran into Virginia. That team was a buzzsaw, and obviously they made it to Omaha, beat Tennessee up there, and made it pretty far there. I just want to note Austin Peay comes in preseason ranked number 1 in the OVC.
Nice.
So they are supposed to have a very good season this year under Coach Jansen. So college baseball opening pitch tomorrow.
Yeah.
Speaking of Austin Peay, want to add too, saw the preseason All-OVC team. Senior catcher Jack Alexander and redshirt pitcher Drew McIlwain are on the OVC preseason team, so look out for them to have a big year. Like you said, Austin Peay baseball, I think over the couple of years we've seen Austin Peay baseball kind of progress, and to be like, we're a football school, we're a baseball school. Like, right. It's kind of switched around a little bit.
Now we're all 3.
Yeah. That's right.
Well, I want to move over real quick to college basketball, as we did not cover it last week because there wasn't a lot of changes from what we had seen.
Yeah.
There was a lot of changes this time, as the top 25 AP poll has changed. Auburn falls to number 2 as Gonzaga takes number 1. They're sitting at 21-2 right now. Auburn at 23-2 at number 2. Arizona makes it into the top 5, 22-2 as well. Kentucky 21-5 now. Purdue at 22-4. I'm actually going to do the top 10 real quick. Kansas is 21-4, Baylor 21-4, Providence 21-3, and Duke 22-4, and Villanova outside the top 10 right now with 20-6. Kentucky lost yesterday to number 16 UT, 76-63. A great game by the Volunteers. I've got to get y'all's ideas of what's going on with college basketball right now.
Looking at it, you see the Zags up top. I think that what conference they're in kind of, makes them not as good as other teams. Me and Reese talked about that a little earlier ago, but they do have what the projected number 1 pick in the NBA draft in Chet Holmgren. What he's like a 7 feet, does a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
He has a smaller frame though. He's gotten some size since high school. I've been following him since high school, so I think with a player like that, it's really nice to get dubs. But looking at Auburn, they're a nice team as well. But I look at the whole race, and it's like anybody can be beat. Anybody. So it's like I can't tell you who's going to win this national championship, which is like the most fun part. And I'm super excited about that. We talked about Duke. They're always the team that's kind of like lingering around. We expect them. They play Wake Forest. So don't get me wrong, Wake Forest is a good program, but they beat them by what, 2?
Yeah.
So
2.
And
so it's like, you got to think too, it's Coach K's last year. So
yeah.
Coach K didn't even come out in the second half.
Yeah, he said he wasn't feeling well.
He stayed in the locker room in the second half.
Wasn't feeling well.
He was up by 15 points, too. I think he was up by like 15,
Yeah,
and then they ended up coming back when he left.
They don't have a team like they usually do. They've got a good team. Don't get me wrong. For any Duke fans that listen to this show, they've got a good team, but it's not the average Duke basketball team that you see. it really is kind of like a sayonara to Coach K here, because it doesn't look like they're going to do the whole push to win. I mean, they're low on the bracket right now as it stands from what it looks like might happen.
Yeah.
So we'll
I mean,
see.
He's a great coach, and when it comes to March Madness, I think coaching is a big aspect of March Madness, winning those close games. So if he comes with the good schemes, I'm not counting him out. I'm not counting anybody
you never
out.
count him
out
out.
of this whole group right here. I'm not looking at any one of these names. I think Purdue, they might be a little overrated.
Just a smidge.
Arizona, I don't see Arizona going as far as I think. Those are my two teams now. If they prove me wrong, hey, it's on recording now. They got me. But looking at these teams, I really can't count anybody out of the national championship.
No, you can't. I mean, that's how it goes.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Tennessee game real quick. So,
sure.
Sorry, jumping around a little bit, but we're talking about Arizona, we're talking about Kentucky, two teams that could very easily cut the nets down. Tennessee's beaten both of those teams. Tennessee started out the season pretty, they were okay. They weren't great by any means. But now coming down the stretch, they beat Arizona. They beat number 4 Kentucky by a pretty large margin last night. Yeah. Sold out Thompson Bowling Arena. Kentucky got flustered, I will say. I watched pretty much all the game until it got out of hand towards the end. But if Tennessee figures it out, they could very easily cut the nets down. And that's not just my me bleeding orange. I'll tell you that right now, because I can be pretty unbiased in college basketball. And Tennessee, they can make a push. I'm not gonna lie.
They can. I mean, they prove it by beating number 4 right now, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky's been in the top 5, so they're consistent with that. I don't think Kentucky's gonna fall too far from that loss. I think UT is gonna come up some. UT very well could break the top 10 with that win.
I think so.
Maybe.
Which would be great. I mean, it depends on where Villanova and Providence end up, because those are my two that are kind of my iffy too. And now I'm on record as well, so we'll have fun with that together.
Yeah.
But those are my two. Villanova's always got a great team, don't get me wrong, and Providence isn't a bad school and a bad team at all. But I just don't see, with the way the talent's been going on in college basketball and who's under you, I just don't see that those players are staying under the top 10 for some of those teams like Tennessee as well. Moving forward, Austin Peay State University is getting closer and closer to the OVC championship game, or OVC tournament, sorry. So I want to talk about the men's real quick.
Yeah.
They're on a 3-game winning streak. They're doing phenomenal right now, jumping from 7th last week to 5th. In just a week for us in our standings. They're 5th in the OVC, 6-8 conference record, 10-14 overall. What do you guys think?
I mean, let's talk about it. So they took down SEMO.
Yep.
They took down CSU. They took down Eastern. And, looking at it too, those are 3 home games in a row. So that definitely helped to feed off the energy. And you look at it, they are playing well. They're playing a lot more gel. I will say this last game against Eastern Illinois.
Yeah.
They were up by a decent margin, and it was almost like they were playing really well, and they almost gave up a lead. They did that earlier against Tennessee Tech this year. So the kind of way they're playing basketball throughout the whole game isn't as good as they want it to be. But we're seeing guys like, it's a mix, and we're seeing Elijah Hutchins-Everett. We talked about him being 2-time freshman of the year. Week, excuse me. He's in the paint. He's getting double team and triple team in situations. So now we're seeing other players having to step up for Austin Peay. And I think players like Carlos Paez, Tariq Silver, they're doing a good job of kind of being around and kind of stepping up for the team. But they really have to figure that out, because Elijah Hutchins-Everett has definitely been getting a little, I wouldn't say shut down, but which it's almost good. It's good to be able to have a player that can draw that much attention, because it allows other players to elevate their game and be able to show up more. So really figuring out the scheme, really not relying on him to do good, because he could be double teamed. I think that'll be huge for Austin Peay. And then to move forward too, then we got tomorrow against Murray State.
Yeah.
Murray State, the number 20 AP, number 21 ranked school. I mean, it's a rivalry game. I love rivalry games. I think, like we talked about UT and Tennessee, you can never really look at the records when it's a rivalry game.
Anything can happen.
So
and the biggest thing for Murray, we said this last time, they were 21st last time they came into the Dunn Center in Clarksville. This time it is official. They are the 21st AP poll ranked team. They are a great team, Murray is. We cannot discredit them whatsoever, but we're hoping that the Governors can go in and get a win for the Battle of the Border. One of the last ones they'll actually get. I want to switch over real fast to women's basketball. APSU women's are 4th in the OVC. Last time we talked, they were 3rd. They lost Monday against UT Martin, which was a makeup game. They were 10-4 in the conference, 17-7 overall. That's a tough game to lose.
Yeah.
You don't like it. You don't like to see that type of stuff.
It is, when you look at it. I mean, I was watching the game live on ESPN Plus, and I was so frustrated, because it was a game where I thought we should have won, and then you go to the free throw line. The team is up 3 points. They missed the free throw, and we don't box out and grab the rebound. So they didn't get the rebound and get fouled some more. And it was a frustrating game. We did have a chance to win it. Carly Pace by the right wing. It was a deep shot. She took it. It was way off. It was a really tough shot to make. But looking at it, the women, I think they can cut the nets like we talked about. I think they can win the OVC championship. It's just going to come up to the little things, really the championship poise that we talk about when we're calling the games.
Oh, yeah.
It's stuff like that. I mean, they got Murray State today. And I think that's going to be a huge game for them to kind of, see where are they at. Were these a couple lucky wins that they had, or do they actually belong in this top 3, top 2 conversation? I think this is a game that's really going to prove themselves.
And we've watched them, as you said, we're calling the games. You and I are calling those games, and we've watched them play. And I really do think that they are, they are a consistent team. And they do have that championship poise. That is something that we've been pushing a little bit on. I've been pushing a little bit on air. They do have that championship poise. So I think that they do deserve to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
The thing is as you said, missed opportunities.
Yeah.
There are plenty that we can name and plenty that we can point out to. And Monday was probably one of those moments.
Yeah, and you look at it, I mean, they got Murray and they got Tennessee Tech coming up. So these are going to be Tennessee Tech this Saturday. Those are going to be 2 tough games. Tennessee Tech is senior.
Yeah.
Senior day. I want to list it off, too. I actually have the list of the seniors that are going to be honored. I ended up getting that.
That'd be great.
Sports information. But we got Casey Kidwell, Yamaya Johnson, Shy Booker, Carly Pace, and Maggie Knowles. Maggie Knowles is the leading in three-point percentage, and she hasn't stepped on the floor once this season with injury. Not sure if she'll come back. But those are the seniors. Other than Maggie, all 4 of the rest of those seniors are going to want to show up. I mean, it's senior day. It could be the last game in the done. Not sure. I mean, I'm not sure what their plans are. F&M Bank Arena, if they'll be able to start the season in there,
right.
how the building is going. But this could be the very last game of the done this Saturday. So definitely both teams are going to want to really show up and show out.
Very well. I mean, you're very, very true and very much right that it is a senior night. You want your seniors to be able to step up, and it's possibly the last game at the done, which means also you want a crowd to come out for that one. If you're Austin Peay and you're in Clarksville area, please come out to this game and support your Governors. I'm going to move on to the NBA standings first, and then we'll get to news and a little bit about the All-Star game coming up this Sunday.
Yes, sir.
And I've got those rosters as well for us. Eastern Conference right now, Miami leading 37-21 record. Chicago tied with them, though. Milwaukee just 1 game back in third. Cleveland about 2 games back from first place. Philly about 3 games back. And that's your top 5. Your 6th team is Boston. They'd make it in right now if we were to end today and go to the playoffs. Brooklyn in the East, they're 8th. After the trade, they're losing games. They hope to turn it around after the break.
Looking at it, I'm gonna re-say the numbers where you said, like, as far as wins, because I know we don't have a graphic up. But looking at Heat 37 wins, Chicago 37 wins, Milwaukee 36, Cleveland 35, Philly 34. You look how tight these games are. Literally in a span of 3 games, the 5th seed in Philly could mess around and be the 1 seed. Like, it's so tight. And I love the competitiveness, but specifically with a team. Bid for MVP right now is Demar Derozan. He's going crazy. He's playing phenomenal.
Sure.
Really good pickup for the Bulls, and he's really hooping right now. But when I look at this, I love it because I can look at it. I can go to the West, and in my opinion, we'll get to them. I think Suns and Warriors are the top 2 in the West. I think one of them are going to go to the championship. But when I look at this East side, it's a 4-man, maybe 5-man race to win the championship in the East, in my opinion.
And talking about the West, well, that's Phoenix in number 1 with 47-10, Golden State 42 wins, Memphis with 41 wins, Utah with 36 wins, Dallas with 34 wins, and then Denver just outside right there with 32 wins. The Lakers and the Clippers are 8th and 9th. No trades were done. Yeah. Nothing was moved.
Yeah.
And they're still playing poorly. I don't think LA's – I mean, the Lakers may have a chance to go, and sneak into that 6th seed. I just don't think it's going to happen. I really don't.
If they wanted to make a push, and obviously, we can say whatever we want about LeBron James. LeBron James, when it comes time, he's going to perform. But we've seen it and we've seen it again. You can't just be one player and win games. Mm-hmm. You can win a game here or there, but if you want to sustain wins like they need to get into the playoff picture. LeBron can't do that at 36, 37 years old?
Couldn't do it in Cleveland. Why do you think he can do it in LA?
And we've seen players like that. I was talking to somebody the other day. They said this is very familiar than when Anthony Davis was playing with the Pelicans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was a monster. And he just wasn't surrounded by talent or really good players. I mean, you look at Luka with the Mavericks. You see him. He's balling out. When's the last time that they, we're not going to see them in the finals. Not trying to, but it's just
they do have Porzingis. They do have Porzingis, but he's
them,
They did. They lost him on trade.
The Wizards.
They lost him on trade.
Now
They are still sitting at 5th right now.
Yeah.
So for right now, they are still in contention. But I do want to talk about the All-Star game coming in February 20th, Team James versus Team Durant. Jamar, I'm going to pass it off to you real quick about these rosters. Tell me what you think.
I definitely think LeBron won this trade. And it was really funny, too, because, it was LeBron and KD were the captains. And LeBron was picking his team, and he purposely did not pick James Harden. And then you look at Kevin Durant was stuck at the last pick. It was either Rudy Gobert or James Harden, and he said he was like on the radio, he was like, I think I need some size, and he ended up, of course, picking Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
And it was like, I mean, we've seen the history, the slander of Rudy Gobert. We know no one wanted him on their team.
Right.
But so to see KD not pick James Harden, and now LeBron has him, of course, Harden's not even going to be playing in the All-Star game now.
You've
But
got Jared Allen coming in.
Yeah, and looking at the LeBron James team, it's ridiculous. It's a lot better, but we know the way All-Star games work. It's not necessarily who has the better team. It's going to be who plays the hardest and who really works. So
not about the big names. It's about who comes to play.
And you see John Morant. John Morant seems like the type of guy that would try hard in an All-Star game.
Morant was playing Memphis and then played the Lakers the other day.
Yeah.
And I overheard LeBron not accepting the loss very well, which usually doesn't happen when you're at home anyways. And I will say Morant's going to prove that he deserves his All-Star spot for sure. And as you said, both teams are stacked. It's All-Star time. This is the one thing that the NFL should do better compared to the NBA. You know what I mean? Like NBA does a great job with their All-Star game. I think the NFL should copy this segment and go, hey, let's put it halfway through.
Yeah,
that'll help us be more competitive. Yeah, exactly. Because they tried that whole captain thing with like Deion Sanders and former players, but it didn't really work out very well. Looking forward, discussing trade deadline. Trade deadline passed. We don't have another trade deadline right now.
Yeah.
Who went? Who stayed? I want to talk about the Ben Simmons trade. Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-rounders for Harden and Millsap. I think that Philly did a great job with this trade. Not many people are going to agree with me when it comes to overall cost, but I think that they paid just the right amount to get rid of a player that didn't want to be there. Yeah. Bring in a player that can help them right now with Harden, even though Harden is hurt. He's always hurt, but he's hurt, and they brought in Millsap too. I think losing Seth Curry is a little tough because he's playing so well.
Yeah.
Not really a big loss to lose Drummond.
In the trade, when they got Seth Curry, it would have been nice for them to maybe get Patty Mills from the Nets, get a shooter for a shooter, and that didn't happen. So now you're looking at the 76ers. I mean, I think they did what the best that they could do. I mean, obviously you didn't want to wait till free agency and just lose Ben Simmons for nothing. So now you actually got James Harden. And James Harden, with the Nets' role, we've seen Kyrie kind of out, which Kyrie was always kind of a shooting guard to me, but we've seen Harden step up to that point guard position a lot more. He's having to do a lot more facilitating. So to see – I'm just thinking of pick and roll situations. Think of being 2 defenders and having to guard Embiid, Harden, pick and roll. Like, you know how hard that is to guard.
I wouldn't do it.
It's like so.
I mean, I can't do it now. But if I was an NBA player and could, I'd be a little worried about the opposite end.
Yeah. So looking at that, I think the Harden. I think 76ers got the best that they could do. Nets on the other end, they had a couple good pieces as well.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Ben Simmons be available. I believe it's March 9th or March 10th. One of the days they're going to see the Nets versus the 76ers. I would love to see everybody playing on that one.
He is projected to play in that Sixers game, and he is excited from what I've heard.
I'm curious, too. I want to look it up. And maybe while y'all talking, I'll try to find it. But is that 76ers game Nets, is it at Philly or is it at Brooklyn?
I would love it for it to be at Philly.
Because if it's at Philly, then Kyrie can play. If it's at Brooklyn, then Kyrie's not going to play. So I'm going to look that up.
I would love for it to be at Philly because if you think about it, what a redemption game for Ben Simmons at that point. To rub it in, hey, I didn't play all season, and now I'm going to play here.
And they were saying that he's in the best shape of he's in the best shape of his life right now.
He's in the best shape that
mentally,
he's been
physically.
Mentally, he's great. He's checked in. Everyone says his interviews. The biggest thing is his interview was yesterday, so there's a lot of speculation off that interview, and it's the first time in a while he's really spoken about anything. So it's interesting to see that.
It's standpoint. It's the 10th, and it's at Philly. It's a TNT game, too, so it's going to be nationally televised.
Irving may play that one,
too.
He
should.
Yeah. Uncle Drew should be on the court for that one.
Yeah.
Moving forward real quick, I just want to talk about real fast the NHL standings. It did change a little bit. Tampa Bay Lightning, 32 wins. Pittsburgh Penguins, 31 wins. Florida Panthers, 32 wins for the East. Colorado Avalanche is number 1 right now for 34 wins. Minnesota Wild at 30. And St. Louis Blues, the former Stanley Cup non-winner, to come in. They took 3rd away from the Preds. Preds dropped to 5th behind Calgary. Preds having a little bit of an issue right now with being able to string some more wins along. But that happens in the season. NHL season still very, very young, in my opinion. Not many people think that, but they're not halfway yet. So to me, it's still a young season.
There's a game tonight that I actually might tune into. I'm not a big NHL guy myself, but I might tune into the Florida Panthers are playing the Minnesota Wild. So that's 3 in the East versus 2 in the West. So
that's a good game.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good game. Both score at a very high clip. They have really good goalies too, but so we'll see what entails there. But I might tune into that game. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready for it for sure. And obviously we've got a couple of things to cover. NFL news. I want to do a quick recap. As we talked about, we get back here. From now on, when it comes to NFL, we're not doing big, massive segments on it anymore, but we are going to be able to cover free agency and the trade market and all that's happening. In fact, free agency starts up March 16th, which will be one of our episodes coming up. So that'll be great. I want to talk about the recap of the Super Bowl first. There were, as what I always like to do is bring out the penalties that were called. We had a no-call face mask penalty from the wide receiver to Jalen Ramsey's face. Everyone saw that in the stadium. Anyone who watched the game, even heard it on the radio, you probably heard the astonishment of the no call, right? In the fourth quarter, you get a ghost holding call on the Bengals defense that sets up the Rams to get a touchdown. A lot of people call that a payback call, usually, because, the face mask call did lead to a touchdown.
Right.
So a lot of them call that. I don't think it changed the game momentum up that much because at the time, the Rams were still marching down the field. But I just want to cover that. Officiating. I really do think that they need to come back to this realm of challenging penalty calls. Give the coach a challenge.
Yeah.
Give the coaches a challenge. Because that PI call should have been a PI call. That face mask call was blatant. Like, he threw him off and everything. And Jalen Ramsey's on the ground going.
Now, I will say about that face mask, the receiver was had his body to the sideline.
Yeah, to the ref.
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so the ref right there is in a tricky situation.
Can't see it.
He can't see it at all. And he's the one that's supposed to toss the flag.
He is.
So it's, when you're a ref, it's tough. I mean, your job, you're getting critiqued by millions and millions of people. I think 144 million people watch the Super Bowl. Every single one probably critiqued some call in that game.
The most, I think, watched Super Bowl in recent time was this. Yeah, it was one of the most watched Super Bowls in forever, and I think it's because we finally had different contenders.
Yeah.
No Brady, no Rodgers, none of that. So, but it was a great game.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was right. Rams won. You were right. Rams won. Sorry, bud.
I didn't want to be right though.
They covered. They covered.
Hey, I'll happily gloat from my position from that one.
I like Odell Beckham Jr. I
do too, until he got hurt.
I like his game, and I just want to say I really, he got the first touchdown. I was super hyped, and of course he went down with the ACL. And you know what? I can't stand people like this. I won't specifically say who it was, but I was at the Super Bowl party. He went down, and this guy was like, "Oh yeah, he's done. It's over with." You know what I'm saying?
His
That's
career
the ACL,
very well may be over.
You know what I'm saying? He's out the game. I'm calling. He was like kind of celebrating that he
Yeah.
was hurt. If you believe it or not, guess who his favorite team is?
Oh, don't tell me it's like Cleveland or Pittsburgh.
He's a Cowboys fan.
Hey,
how
hey.
the Cowboys.
Yeah,
but no, just seeing that whole game, it was fun. It was fun. The halftime show was clean too, but more football wise, it was a good game. I think it was a nice two teams playing together. I love that it wasn't a blowout. I loved it.
Oh yeah.
I loved the comeback from the Rams. They kind of had to fight back. The last drive was a little less fun due to the penalties, but it was still
that final penalty did change a little bit, but I don't think it changed momentum.
Yeah.
Enough. I think the Rams were still driving down the field to win that game.
Yeah.
It was good to see the vets get it. Good to see Stafford get one for sure. Moving forward, there are now 0 head coaching jobs open now in the NFL. For now, I still think that there's going to be an opening coming up soon. I won't speculate too much. But Seattle, I do think that you're going to lose a coach. You're already losing your quarterback probably. So, but I'd like to play a little game. Well, actually, let's go real fast. Let's talk about Dungy's letter to Goodell. I like that. Just a real quick tidbit on that. I love that Tony Dungy, a former Super Bowl, a Hall of Fame, former Super Bowl winning coach, a Hall of Fame coach, is calling out the NFL for diversifying. They have not diversified enough. The only diverse coach hiring was Lovie Smith to the Texans, I believe.
Yeah.
We all know. We've talked about it enough. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point.
Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, didn't they?
Miami.
It's Miami.
Miami's got quotes and an asterisk around that one. But yeah, it was not. It's not great. We've talked about it so much. We'll probably continue to talk about it as we keep going through NFL news and stuff like that. But I just want to quickly say, good on you there, Tony. I'm happy, Dungy. Thank you for that letter. Goodell should be fired, in my personal opinion.
Amen.
But I want to play a game. Let's play Will They Stay? All right. So I'm gonna throw out a player. And you're just going to tell me whether they stay or not. And if you don't think they're going to stay, tell me where they're going to go. All right? We don't have a lot of time, but I feel like we can get this done really quickly. Jimmy Garoppolo.
No.
No? Where's it going? What do you think?
You brought up a good point. I think it was 2 episodes ago. Going to the Bucks,
Yeah.
literally following Brady around.
I've got one for that. The next one we'll do though. Russell Wilson. Is he staying in Seattle? Or is he going? And if he goes, where's he going?
He's out.
Out.
Commanders.
You say staying?
I say stay.
I
don't know where he would go.
I think if he leaves, he's going to Pittsburgh.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Because Pittsburgh's tied to him as well.
I've been hearing about Pittsburgh drafting Liberty quarterback Malik Willis.
That would be a great draft.
I've been hearing about that.
That'd be a great draft for them.
Pittsburgh are looking.
That's an underrated QB in the draft.
Yeah,
very.
Okay, all right. Deshaun Watson is rumored to be being traded to the Bucks. That's the one I was going to get to.
Yeah.
Out of there.
I mean, he's leaving Texas. He's gone out of Houston. I don't know if he plays next year, but he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
Rodgers, is he staying with the Packers?
Man.
You think
I
so?
think he does.
You think so?
Last ride.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Then here's why. Devontae Adams is rumored to be meeting with Chicago about possibly playing for the Bears. They don't have cap to pay for him in Green Bay. They're not going to pay for him in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers will only stay, I think, if he has weapons. The reason he's wanting to leave Green Bay is because he doesn't have weapons. So I think that's a problem.
We're seeing a tough situation too, where I see like if you want these players to stay, like looking at Aaron Donald with the Rams, like you have to pay these players, and when you pay these players, the weapons that they have to help them are limited because you're spending so much money on that specific player. So
absolutely right. That is that's will they stay? That's our game.
Yeah.
And with I do want to say one thing. And with Rodgers and the whole Rodgers isn't going to the Bears. And I know we were talking about how
I think he's going to Denver.
Yeah, I mean we were talking about how Devontae Adams wanted him to follow
right before the Super Bowl. Yeah, Brady may come out of retirement now too. Just to let you guys know.
Did the Titans commit to Tannehill? Are they saying they're committing?
Vrabel committed to Tannehill.
Okay.
Not the ownership, not the general manager, just Mike Vrabel.
Okay.
So that's
Coach of the Year too.
Yeah, hey, congratulations! Yeah, Coach of the Year. Got to give it to him, and he deserves it. I'll give Tennessee credit there. They had so many injuries, he deserves it. Moving on, the last thing that I want to talk about. We don't have much time left, but what I want to talk about is the Major League Baseball is currently experiencing a player lockout. The higher ups predicted the start of the season will start on time, which I believe is sometime in March, like middle of March or something like that.
Maybe April 1st.
Is it April 1st?
I think it is every year. Yeah.
Well, hey, look, April Fools to us because it might not start on time. But it is the 9th in Major League Baseball history to have this holdout. It's a player holdout this time. It's the first time since 1995. I just want to quickly talk about this real fast. I think that if you are Major League Baseball, you give whatever the players want. Because this is mostly about minor league problems. It's not really a lot about the major league problems themselves. The system in major leagues is pretty good, but your minor league problem is what's really been the biggest issue. Your players aren't getting paid properly. Living areas aren't being are not accommodating to a professional player. So I just wanted to quickly talk about that. I don't know if you guys have anything on that you'd like to bring up.
I think the MLB has to figure it out because these minor league players are living in such poor conditions.
Yeah.
I mean, they're living 4 to a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah,
people
it's
sleeping on the
ridiculous.
floor, people sleeping on the couch. There was a good story real quick where a guy got on the bus after a minor league game and they had like trays of lasagna and they had thrown like Kraft like singles pieces of cheese just on it.
Yeah.
And it's just like you can't live like that. That's awful.
As a professional ball player
Yeah.
too. Like imagine living off that diet and trying to play professional play. There's just no way. Right now, guys, that's pretty much what I've got for you. I want to thank you guys, for taking your time out of your day for coming out here. As always, it's a great time to talk about this show with you guys. I'm looking forward to our next episode as well. Thank you guys so much for coming in this week. And
If we do have time for something really quick, like 30 seconds.
I got like 30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds real quick. I just realized Valentine's Day was the day after the Super Bowl, so I'm thinking I have to check. But a couple years down the road, are we going to see a Valentine's Day on the Super Bowl? And what is that going to mean for relationships? And what is that going to mean? What's more important? Well, that's all.
What's more important?
That's what to think about for the rest of the week. Maybe.
Yeah.
But
Thoughts
that's it.
thoughts to leave on is that right there.
Yeah.
I'd like to. Maybe we'll talk about that next show. But I want to say thank you guys once again. You've been listening to Crunch Time, and we'll see you next time.